What is going on YouTube and Diablo fans? My name's Andreas and as always welcome back to Mana and Motherboards. So patch 3.2 is live and the new season 14 is just around the corner starting tonight. And with that in mind, it has been requested that I take a look at the Tainted Warlock and do a budget demonstration of how powerful the build feels with more budget oriented gear. So let's dive and jump right into that. So what we have is a level 71 Warlock here. We have put enough stats into strength just to use our gear. The rest have gone into vitality and we have decent resists and all of that. We're also hitting past that 75% breakpoint for faster cast rate, and that's what we're looking like for our stats. Then in terms of the skill tree, we have put one into Sigil Lethargy and one into Rancor to get to Sigil Death. So we sort of alternate between using Sigil Death and Sigil Lethargy depending on the sort of scenario or sort of the context and content that we are in. I say lethargy, some people say lethargy. I don't know how to pronounce it or what's the best thing. I know it's not how I say bold, but anyway, moving on from that, that's what we have in terms of points in the Chaos skill tree. In the Eldritch skill tree, we just have one into Blade Warp, just for mobility and getting around and all of that. Then for the Demon skill tree, what we have done is put 20 points into Summon Tainted. We've put 20 points into Blood Boil as a synergy for Summon Tainted and to get its damage as high as possible. We have then also maxed out Demonic Mastery in order to buff up our demons as much as possible. We have then put as many points as we could into Engorge in order to get our Blood Boil physical damage portion up as high as possible to deal with immunes for us when it gets to hull difficulty. And then once we max out Engorge, we'll probably move on to maxing out Blood Oath, and that's the sort of skill tree setup that we are using for this more budget oriented version of the Tainted Warlock. Then moving on to the gear, just to sort of show the budget that we are talking about. So we are just on Nightmare right now, Act 5 or wherever we are in Nightmare. I'll just show you some gameplay here, and then we'll move on to hull difficulty and show you a little bit of that gameplay. So for our weapon, we have a Spirit Sword, quite easily obtainable for anyone. Sort of from Nightmare onwards, you can very easily find yourself the runes to make a Spirit Sword. We then have a Law Helmet. We have the Rising Sun Amulet, that's to give us 2 to fire skills, which gives us 2 to our Tainted. Then we have a Spirit Monarch, again similar to our Spirit Sword, just the shield version, and this gives us great defense as well as faster cast rate, the all skills, all of that good stuff. For our armor, we have Authority that is quite affordable, just a Hull Shale and Rull Ruin, and that gives us the Warlock skills, the Fire Res, all of that other good stuff going on here. You could also use a Stealth Armor at this point in time. Either of those are going to be great. I would say go with Authority as soon as you get the runes for that. For our boots, we just have a Silkweave boots. You could get sort of Horizons boots, Alders boots, Water Walks, anything like that. Whatever you find is great. This is just sort of, again, just a budget demonstration. We have a Credendum Bolt that just gives us all res. We have a faster cast rate ring. I mean, it has some nice res, some mana on. Another faster cast rate ring with some life and some other res. That's great. And then we have a Mage Fist, which you can even find in normal difficulty. We have nothing on swap. You could buy yourself a teleport staff there. That is probably the most efficient or effective item you can use on your offhand. Then For our mercenary, we have an insight that's in a cryptic axe, so I understand that's a little bit more powerful and elite base, but I mean, this could be a partisan insight, it really doesn't matter. We then made a treachery for our mercenary. It's not even an eth treachery, that's not an eth insight. And then we have a Tull Rush's crest mask. So overall, this is very affordable gear, very easily obtainable. I think all of this you can basically find just as you enter into Nightmare kind of thing. It's not going to be difficult to acquire. I think, you know, a couple hours into the game, you should be able to get all of this kind of stuff. I think this is a good budget starting point for this build. We also just got a Thorns mercenary because I want to just see how Thorns works with our Tainted being, our front line, and our sort of tanky demon army. I think Thorns could potentially work quite nicely with them, so we're going to give that a try. And what we're going to do, I'm just going to summon my 3 Tainted, and then what we can do, let's just head to the Chaos Sanctuary here and start looking for some enemies to kill. So this is Nightmare difficulty, and as you can see, we are kind of just one-shotting everything that's around us. It's really powerful at this point in time, and with this sort of gear you have no problem whatsoever. We have a fire immune, so what we can do is just blood boil and that will get taken out. Our mercenary should also be able to take it out, no problem. You can see the build is doing just fine. Obviously hull difficulty is going to be a little bit harder, and I'll show you what that looks like now. I mean, even here right now, I'll change this up to players 8 in Nightmare, and we still should be doing just fine. I don't think players 8 is quite as viable with this level of gear in Hull, but in Nightmare difficulty, you are definitely able to take on players 8 difficulty with this build and setup. I think the Thorns also just helps again for immunes, and I wasn't actually pushing Blood Boil there, so we actually are able to take out that pack quite a lot quicker. But generally you just want to hang back and let your demons do the work for you there. That is what they are there for. They are doing the heavy lifting, and overall I think this build, even on players 8 in Nightmare, is doing pretty fantastically. So with that out the way, let's quickly jump into Hull, and we'll do some players 1 in Hull just to show you what that is like. A lot of people are saying that the Tainted Warlock doesn't seem to clear that fast, and maybe it's sort of not quite as powerful as Echoing Strike and this and that. Personally, I'm not quite sure where they are coming from. I think that the Tainted Warlock has fantastic clear speed, so I just changed it now. I can't even remember if I changed it. Down to players 1, we are on Hull difficulty. I'll go to Act 2, Canyon of the Magi here, and we'll just go around and see what our Tainted can do. We only are doing around 7k damage with our Tainted, and you can get 30k damage with high-end gear, so we really aren't anywhere close to what the sort of max and threshold for this build is. But as you can see, between our mob of Tainted, they are kind of one-shotting everything in Hull here. And yes, this isn't some whole screen exploding apocalypse in terms of clear speed, but they are basically one-shotting every enemy that we encounter, barring the exception of elite mobs and stuff like that. But overall, I think for the budget gear that we have, if you have this kind of gear in Hull, you're going to have no problem between your Tainted and using Blood Boil to take out anything that you encounter. We'll even switch it up to players 8 here just to give you a bit of a taste and a bit of an idea of that. So as you can see there, we have some fire immunes, and what we do is just teleport in our Tainted and use Blood Boil, and we are able to down them pretty easily. So we're going to change it up to players 8 now. I don't think with this level of budget gear you would really be doing solo players 8 sort of content and runs, but just to show you that it is possible, this is what it's like basically. So here we have immunes. We're just going to use our blood boil. Our blood boil is nowhere near maxed at the moment, so it is going to be a lot harder to down these immunes, but that doesn't mean that we can't do it. And what we can do here even is just teleport in to that Unraveler, get him down, teleport our Tainted back to these immunes, and I'll just show you, at least in an area where there aren't immunes, what this build can do in players 8. I'm just going to summon some new Tainted here, because mine are a little bit damaged and worse for wear. But look, players 8, and we are still quite easily taking down these mobs. I think for the budget level of gear that we have, this is an incredibly strong build, and as you can see, we can also stay very safe in the back line whilst our Tainted do all of the heavy lifting for us. We can just use Deathmark to teleport them in where we want. Our mercenary died. That is sort of bound to happen. And yeah, in general, this build is just doing really well, I think. I would love to hear your opinion in the comments below. How do you think the budget variant of this Tainted build sort of works? I think it's great. I think it does very admirably in this level difficulty. Let's teleport them onto that elite. As you can see, a couple hits and it's down. I think he actually burrowed away, but either way it was being taken down. Blood warp, or blade warp, just for our mobility here. It's got a bit of a cast delay, so it's not like a true teleport, more of a pseudo teleport, but still does incredibly well. I'm impressed with this budget variant. I think it does a very nice amount of damage. The thorns aspect from our mercenary seems to be doing alright. Nothing all that spectacular, but definitely not bad. This is quite a big, dangerous mob for players 8 with this level of gear. But as you can see, our Tainted are just in there tanking and doing their best to take out this mob. I would say with a similar level of gear, there aren't going to be many other Warlock builds that are going to do better than this. I think an Apocalypse Warlock, when you're not fighting immunes at this sort of budget of gear, might be a little bit more powerful. I don't think Echoing Strike would be more powerful, so I think Fire in general for Season 14 is going to be the go, because Apocalypse is extremely strong, and I think Tainted is extremely strong as well. So I hope that you enjoyed this little showcase. I think that Tainted is in a very solid spot. We are going to be doing a whole lot of new content for Season 14 and the upcoming ladder reset. And if you haven't already, consider joining our Discord community to join us for games, be part of the community, share, trade, all of that good stuff. And we're also going to be doing playthrough games as soon as the ladder season resets and starts. So if you want to be part of that playthrough, definitely join our Discord community and you can join our Rush to Hell. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed this content. I hope you found it useful. I hope that you sort of gain something from it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel. That would be greatly appreciated. Any likes, shares, views, all of that stuff is always greatly appreciated. And we look forward to seeing you in the next one, and we'll catch you again soon for some more Mana and Motherboards. Cheers.